of 2027. What's ultimately going to drive the price upward and adoption?
Well, the DATs have brought retail.
So I was introduced to digital assets via Bitcoin. Took a deeper dive when I gave a little talk at the Satoshi.
So every negative thread on XRP generates 10x in algorithmic engagement.
I would say after Bitcoin, XRP is probably the most well-known on Wall Street and on finance circles.
They try to shake me out, but I was born ready. Dropping down the price, then I be getting plenty. They want all your bags, and they want all them empty.
What's up, glitches? Welcome back to some more Moon O'Clock news. No breakfast, no coffee. Shout out to the latest up. We got XRP currently right around $2.80, $2.81. We got Coin Bureau to pop off. XRPL records the highest real-world asset issuance. XRP Ledger just closed Q2 2025 with 131.6 million in tokenized real-world assets. It's the highest ever, fueled by a new issuance announced that the XRP Ledger Apex Singapore adoption is accelerating fast. We got Crypto Eddie. What would the key driver be to get Bitcoin over 10 trillion? DeFi, the networks that facilitate that are going to do very well. Consumption for their tokens, Blur networks.
I have a view on Bitcoin's price towards the end of 2027. What's ultimately going to drive the price upward and adoption?
Well, the DATs have brought retail sovereign wealth funds are buying Bitcoin. The U.S. government holds 212,000 Bitcoin. It's pretty crazy when you see it. So I think over the next 5 years, Bitcoin's going to 10 trillion. I think before the end of this bull market, Bitcoin will hit 250,000. That's kind of the flag I've put in the ground for the ceiling of it. And the big driver is going to be Bitcoin DeFi. You know, the minute you can get yield and do stuff with your Bitcoin, it's kind of like I say, there's the gold mine and then there's the gold. Right now, the gold lives at the gold mine. Well, the gold doesn't have to live at the gold mine. The Bitcoin network is the gold mine. It makes gold. You can take your gold and put it in the jewelry shop, and the jewelry shop's Cardano or Ethereum or Stacks or, these types of things. Well, the minute you can do that, Bitcoin gets a yield. Bitcoin gets a yield. It's a very attractive instrument because it's limited downside relative to all these other experimental things, and it has equivalent upside in many cases to other tokens. So the networks that facilitate that are going to do very well because they're going to get a ton of TVL. They're going to get a ton of transaction volume. And the thing is, under the hood, it creates consumption for their tokens. So that's what's going to be the key driver of getting Bitcoin over 10 trillion, because then structured financial products can offer yields. They could be sliced and diced by Wall Street to be very safe and scored and rated. And then people just by proportion start including it like they do gold in their IRAs and their 401ks and these types of things. And so the rulemaking will let you do it. The minute that clarity is passed and all the rulemaking comes in, Bitcoin will be treated like any other financial asset from purposes of investment and taxes. And at that point, you'll see a massive flow of money into it because it's a hard asset.
Well, once Bitcoin reaches $10 trillion, is that the rising tide that lifts all boats? In other words, are all other cryptos going to follow?
Blur networks, a sleeping giant. We got Strow Finance. Where else on the XRP Ledger can you earn 28% APY on USDC straight from your Zaman wallet? We're still early, but growing fast. Supply Axelar USDC on Strobe today and start earning. Good morning, crypto. Why is XRP attacked often? Here's your answer.
Every time we start to see certain camps start to attack the XRP camps, which is so ironic that this is so tribal in crypto in general, is that the camps that attack, whether they're bot driven or they're actually human driven, it creates a response mechanism from the XRP community, which enhances the algorithm and now has almost like a bit of an incentive structure. So every negative thread on XRP generates 10x in algorithmic engagement. So every time that we get a Bitcoiner, an ETH maxi, a Solana maxi, it doesn't matter, you name it, one community of that, they attack XRP. We're watching this on the MSI, and it only amplifies the message of XRP. And I'm like, what are these guys not getting?
Digital asset investor, they believe Bitcoin should have a special government treatment. It is ultimately grounded in their fear that their exit money will flow away from Bitcoin into other digital assets.
So I was introduced to digital assets via Bitcoin. Took a deeper dive when I gave a little talk at the Satoshi roundtable, and then got thoroughly orange pilled, as they say.
Was it through your son?
Son-in-law and a young man who I had never met, named Austin Alexander, who sort of took me under his wing at the Satoshi Roundtable and was explaining to me that the advocacy that the miners were taking was for one reason, the investors another, the cryptographers another. This was the year 2017 when there was a lot going on in the whole Bitcoin policy world. And so I just happened to be in the right place at the right time to learn a lot, and then became more inquisitive.
September 17th, Fed rate cut. October 18th to the 25th, XRP spot ETFs final decision dates. Grayscale. 10/18. Mr. Man XRP, we will be priced into 2026. These are your key dates to take note of. September 8th, Registry Implementation Canada. September 12th to the 18th, UN General Assembly SDG financing window. September 15th, Global Transformation Summit. September 29th, G20 meeting. September 30th, end of the paper checks. October 5th through the 10th, Digital Euro. October 20th, Bank of Canada Monetary Policy Update. October 22nd, Full Moon. October 22nd, Global Cyber Summit. October 25th through the 26th, BIS, CPMI, IMF, Digital Money Agenda Item Surface, pre-G20. November 1st, baseline for the financial infrastructure pivot. November 4th, swell. November 22nd, SWIFT coexistence ends. ISO 20022 fully enforced. November 22nd, ISO 15022 comes to an end. Another one from Paul Barron, Canary Capital CEO, says XRP ETF can do $5 billion in the first month and can outperform ETH from pure financial services.
Into this, the Ripple ETF or XRP ETF approval odds right now on Polymarket hovering at around 86%. So one of its highest points, but it looks like this is going to happen. What is the likelihood of the timing for this right now?
I would guess that XRP would probably be this year. Either Eric or James from Bloomberg simply said, well, if there's futures at Coinbase, then you probably get an ETF in 2025.
Your statement at that time was $5 billion in the first month. Are you still holding to that? Do you think that's a possibility?
I really am. I would say after Bitcoin, XRP is probably the most well-known on Wall Street and on finance circles. And then ETH is actually probably number 3. So if you think about it that way, I do believe that XRP could potentially outperform ETH just from pure financial services standpoint.
Sammy, Stellar is on fire this week. U.S. Department of Commerce using Stellar for GDP data. Partnership with Telegram, 100+ million users. Stellar live on Near Protocol. UNDP welcomes Stellar as a blockchain partners of the SDG blockchain accelerator. Telegram gives 100 million plus users keys to Stellar's fast, low-cost blockchain. World, Stellar XLM. Mikey Bull all season usually triggers at this level. Raoul Paul, crypto still being adopted at twice the speed of the internet from 5 million IP addresses versus 5 million wallets. Very like for like. And it's on its way to 4 billion by 2030. That will take it from 4 trillion in market cap today to 100 trillion by 2032. 2034. Crypto Bull 2020 altcoins excluding ETH are about to show the highest monthly close ever. XRP to go much higher, and all season is still ahead. Dark Defender. Within the 1-day time frame, XRP follows a 5 impulsive Elliott wave structure. The 4th wave is technically completed as long as 285 is maintained. XRP is ready for 439, 5th wave. NFA. Have an excellent Sunday. XRP Crow. XRP season brewing. Taking a look at the USDT dominance in the previous 2020 halving cycle. In this Bitcoin halving cycle window, we had 2 major corrections, sideways actions in the middle. In our current April 2024 halving window here, we completed the first correction. Here goes the sideways action, and now we're working on the final correction for the USDT dominance. And the previous 2020 cycle took around 555 days from the May 11th, 2020 Bitcoin halving day. If this cycle completes around the same amount of time for the USDT dominance, look out for the USDT dominance to complete its correction end of October. And in the 2020 cycle, with 57 days left in the cycle, we had one last relief rally for the USDT dominance, and then it was all downhill. And as the USDT dominance goes down, crypto goes up. Also, one thing to note is Our current cycle is only a month ahead of the previous 2020 cycle, which started in May 11th of 2020. Current cycle started April 20th, 2024. Taking a look at the altcoin market cap here, excluding BTC. The previous cycle from the BTC halving date lasted around 546 days. And in our current cycle, which started April 20th, 2024, if we take around that same amount of time, we're looking at the end of October 20th, for a possible top. With that being said, bag ladies, we got a blood moon coming up in about 8 days. A total lunar eclipse, commonly known as a blood moon, will occur on the night of September 7th through the 8th, 2025. We also had one March 14th, 2025. Leading up to it, XRP was around $1.92 and rose to around $2.40 during the blood moon, and then topped off at around $2.52. What will happen for XRP? Will the next moonshot occur during the blood moon? And the longer they take, the higher we keep climbing on that XRP rich list. Where will those bags be when that regulation jar of molasses finally breaks open and XRP's true price is finally revealed? We'll catch you up here on the mothership. BYOB, bring your own bags, be your own bank, be your own boss. Don't forget to drop an elbow from the top ropes on the likey button. We'll see you at the tippy top. Later, glitches.
Hey, told you missed it. Them riches jump off that ghost train. Totally did. Now we blasting up off this third plane. Took the cheats and the codes and now we all run the game. Spit be splitting them split ups. Deep state they getting drained. Jump in the pool of all these games. Jumping, we shooting in slow motion like we Max Payne. We flipping, getting digits. 589K, we in this. Yeah, we wealthy, filthy, rich in this bitch. And these hoes don't know it. You didn't notice that we ghosting this hoe. They built the tunage. You need a tune up, hoping that they freaking hear it. Then you tune it. Ayy, 4-3 to earth, and we moving like we the frequency. Bagging these bags, and now we living not so equally. Adam and Eve, they GMO the apples. Batman back in this 4-3-2 and all the samples. Jump on that saddle, we waking up.